Today at Time.com we have New York Times Executive Editor Bill Keller. I'm Belinda Luscombe and your questions start now. Bearing in mind the aggressive, pervasive and competitive nature of online journalism and the ease of accessing information from the internet, do you think that print media still has a future?
The best of online journalism is being produced by newspapers, including our own. I think the future of online journalism, much of it is rooted in mainstream media. But I also think, this talk about the death of newspapers is a little exaggerated. There are, I think, still 1,400 daily newspapers in America and something like 6,000 weeklies. A lot of them are healthy, including this one. While online is clearly more and more the future, print has a lot of life left in it.
You recently appeared as part of a Daily Show segment on The Times that treated the paper as a comical anachronism. How do you respond to those who seem almost eager for newspapers to die out?
Well, I'll tell you, that's the last time that I try to be a good sport. Even my wife told me that I looked faintly ridiculous on that show, and she was trying to make me feel better. I think the people who are eager to dance on the grave of the Times and other major news organizations would feel a profound sense of loss if suddenly there were no organizations that were sending reporters to Afghanistan or policing Wall Street and Washington. And I think that among the people who would miss us most would be the wise guy pundits and the script writers for satirical TV shows, because they all riff on the news that we produce.
Jay Bowe in Canton, Ohio asks, in your view, what is the most important story that's currently being underreported?
That would probably be the Michael Jackson story. No, I'm kidding. Sadly, one of the most underreported important stories is the war in Iraq. It's very expensive and dangerous to cover. A lot of news organizations have pulled back over the years and don't maintain bureaus there anymore. I think there's a little bit of a sense of war fatigue at a time when there are 130,000 American troops involved, when the country's going through a very kind of precarious transition. I think that story's undercovered.
This one's kind of feisty. It says the New York Times had no problem leaking state secrets that very likely assisted terrorists. The Times ignored the requests of the Bush administration repeatedly and claimed the truth required that this information be published. Yet, the New York Times had no qualms about lying about the kidnapping of one of its own reporters to protect the safety of that reporter at the expense of truth. What is the difference?
We sometimes withhold information from print either because we're convinced that publishing it would put lives at risk, or to protect national security. We've done that in the case of kidnappings, not only of David Rode, but other kidnappings. We've done it in the case of state secrets, but we can't surrender to the government the decision-making power over what we do and don't publish.
Amanda in Spokane, Washington says that society's relationship with printed news or news in general has changed quite a bit over the past few years. And where do you see this relationship going?
I think in general terms, quality journalism, which is not quite the same as information, is in greater demand than it's ever been. And I think it's in shorter supply than it's ever been, which is, if you believe in the law of supply and demand, probably a good thing for us.